Russia-Ukraine war. Moscow reacts with harsh criticism to new EU aid for Kyiv. During a visit to Ukraine, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen pledged additional support to the war-torn nation. Moscow's response was swift and critical. Russia-Ukraine war. Moscow reacts sharply to new EU aid for Kyiv. In Ukraine's defense against Russia, the EU committed further assistance. Von der Leyen announced new financial aid of up to 35 billion euros. This pledge, shared on X during her meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv, is part of a larger support package planned by the G7, totaling up to $50 billion despite resistance from Hungary. The funds, to be provided as loans, will come from frozen Russian assets, under a G7 initiative to back Ukraine. Von der Leyen emphasized that Ukraine, due to relentless Russian attacks, relies on continued EU support. Zelensky said the loan would be used for air defense, energy security, and domestic weapons procurement. Harsh criticism from Moscow followed, with Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova accusing the EU of losing its mind and bowing to Washington's will. She warned that Brussels is pursuing a suicidal course of escalation with Russia. Germany will also contribute to the package with additional military aid worth up to 400 million euros. After EU Parliament missile resolution, Sonneborn warns of World War II nuclear boom. The EU Parliament has passed a resolution with an absolute majority of votes calling for attacks with Western weapons and missiles on targets in Russia. The MEP and satirist Martin Sonneborn warns and greets his ex-followers, "Hoo-hoo citizens, boom!" After EU Parliament missile resolution, Sonneborn warns of World War II nuclear boom. Quell legion-media.ru. Copyright Panama Pictures. The European Parliament in Strasbourg, France. Symbolic image. The EU Parliament passed a resolution on September 19th by an absolute majority of votes condemning restrictions on the use of Western weapons against targets in Russia, calling for the release of Western-made missiles and other weapons for attacks on targets deep in Russia. The resolution also explicitly calls for the delivery of German Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine. EU Parliament calls for release of long-range weapons for targets in Russia. EU Parliament calls for release of long-range weapons for targets in Russia. MEP and satirist Martin Sonneborn explains his view of the event in his usual satirical and exaggerated X posting. He begins his text with the introduction, followed by a list of the contents of the resolution, typeface and wording as in the original posting. Yesterday, the EU Parliament decided something that even the craziest US neocons reject. The vast majority of MEPs, 425 yes, 131 no, 63 don't give a shit, no opinion, no idea, approved a fortunately non-binding resolution calling on the member states to provide financial and military support in every possible way until Ukraine's victory. Cough. German Taurus cruise missiles to deliver. Boom. Lift the restriction on shelling targets inside Russia. World War nuclear boom. To spend an additional 0.25% of its GDP annually on arms deliveries to Ukraine. That would be a double-digit billion sum for Germany. Krrks in Germany. Bridges, education, infrastructure, social affairs, health. Because of the great success, more sanctions against Russia. Krrks in Germany. Bridges, education, infrastructure, social affairs, health. In December 2022, a column by Spiegel guest author Nicholas Blom said, "Last days in the Kremlin. Actually, you shouldn't compare anyone with Hitler, not even Putin. But the similarities in the downfall are striking." Martin Sonneborn, on the other hand, explains further in his latest X-posting, the Russian president, Hitler, has made it clear that the shelling of domestic Russian targets by Taurus cruise missiles is to be seen as a declaration of war on Russia. According to the resolution, the EU Commission should engage in strategic communication in the member states in order to bring the citizens into line, probably via such sympathetic bodies as Strack Rheinmetall, Carlo Massacca, Rotor, Crisis Weather, etc. And this at a time when the US is already withdrawing from the conflict. No serious expert still believes that Ukraine can win this war, and 2/3 of Europeans are demanding that their politicians work towards a negotiated solution. Make the background music dramatic drums, beautiful, melodic, soft, serious, ethereal. Settings: use a male, clear American voice for the narrator, add clean subtitles with no outline, use the best audio available.